Hey y'all, so welcome back to a new video where I'm playing with the black pieces against my opponent who's pretty good, who's a 2100. And yeah, well, let's stop the delay down, let's just get into it. My opponent plays the move e4, my respondent c6, my Caro Kann, the only opening I ever play, g4, d5, and my opponent decides to go for the exchange variation, a variation that is incredibly popular at pretty much all levels of the game because this kind of sidesteps a lot of the issues with this opening. So takes, my opponent comes here, this is all mainline theory, here, bishop g4 is the move, here, bishop back. The idea is to trade off my light squared bishops, open up my rook, and get into some interesting positions. I want to play e6. I want my bishop, my dark squared bishop, developed out to this square, and this pawn is sometimes a weakness, but most of the time it's okay, and this position is normally pretty equal. Bishop f4, e6, knight b2, bishop d6, takes, all that's been played before. Queen there, my castle, also been played before, saying that if he wants to take, I actually just win after rook fb8 works, but it's not the best move. The best move is to try and keep the queen locked away with this move, a5. A very tricky move, very sneaky. That would be lucky. I meant to play queen b3. And in this position, we're actually just advancing towards the center and we're completely winning. I would have probably played rook fb8 in a normal game, but I can understand a5. My opponent doesn't fall for that. He instead castles. I bring my knight back. The idea is to eventually go rook fe8 and play the move e5. And also, I might want to reroute my knight at some point to this square with something like this and then this, and get a solidified knight there. And I think that my knight isn't really doing very much on this square, so I want to reroute it. Either way, my opponent comes back. Whenever he comes back with his queen to queen c2, you always pretty much play bishop g6, takes. I always got to take back towards center. Really nothing interesting has been played just yet. All very normal stuff, which is kind of what I like about the Caro Kann and why a lot of people go for the exchange variation, because the exchange variation is the most tame of the options of the Caro. Now, rook here, I go b4, and I'm actually kind of b5. I'm kind of proud of that move. Engine gives it as the best move. Basically, I realize that this move on the surface looks like it does nothing because it has two pawns in the way, but under the surface it's trying to play the move c4 and open stuff up, because if I take, knight comes in and then he keeps pushing down, and that could be a little dangerous to me. I don't really want that. So b4 does two things. It both takes some space on the side of the board and it stops the move c4, which is why I really like this move on b5, not b4. And I really like this move, and I have ideas playing a5 and a4, a5 and b4 in some lines. So this all looks pretty good. My opponent comes with his queen. I solidify my pawn, very reasonable. Pretty much every move we've played so far has been like the top engine line, which is pretty funny. My opponent plays a b3, and this is the first like technically bad move of this line, of this game. Theory ended a bunch of moves ago, but it's technically the first bad move of this game because everything in the exchange is very simple. I play a move that I thought was very natural. I played knight b6. Not the best move. Technically, I should have brought a rook to the c file, bring my f rook to the c file, because my a rook actually has a good job of protecting this. I do this later, but bring my f rook to the c file and defend this, because now c4 still doesn't work because of knight b4 now, and I'm doing quite well. Either way, I play knight b6, stopping c4, just concretely, not tactically. Opponent goes rook there. Now I go rook fc8, and my opponent makes a mistake here. My opponent already makes a mistake. He plays c4. And this is when black already has an amazing position after one of the moves that I already showed you. And very interesting, I missed this move in my calculation, but I saw it immediately. After you play this move, the move is knight b4. Very nice move. I spent 30 seconds on it. I was just making sure that there's nothing like interesting he can do, but like either he has to go knight b1 and defend this pawn, or go queen e2 and get some weird stuff. He plays queen e2. This is the best move. If I take here, his idea is that he's gonna probably play this first, and after knight c3, queen e3, I mean, not queen d3, queen e3, and like queen b4, this position is actually pretty bad for black after the move c5, and I'm actually doing quite worse here. So I really can't take that pawn, so instead I decide to play the move bc4, which is wrong. I thought this move was a really good move, but I was mistaken. The best move in this position is actually dc4, the only move that works. And after I take with the knight here. This move looks like it works, but actually knight c1 also checks the queen, so he can't do that. After knight a2, my opponent has to go rook a1, knight c3, queen e3, let's say the same line as before, and now queen b4. And the main difference is that if he plays the move c5, now my knight has this square to go to, and also this square. But he had that square in the last game. This square is the more important one, because the knight is actually centralized and a very, very good piece. That's why that would be great. Either way, that's why I should have taken with the d pawn. I really should have, but instead I take with the b pawn because it just felt more natural. I didn't really want to calculate that much. As you can see, I only spent 2 seconds on this move. My opponent recaptures. I take back with the pawn, which I thought was natural because now I want this square for my knight. Captures. I have to trade. Captures. And in this line, we just trade everything. Rook takes, queen takes, and as you can see, this is probably heading towards a draw. But actually, after I play the move a5, there's still actually a decent amount of life in this position. My opponent can probably come in with his knight here. My king is a little weak, but it's okay. I can move my queen over here, knight back. I can get in with my queen, which is very nice. My rook always guards this, and I'm actually... The position is still pretty interesting here, even though the eval bar always screams 0, 0, 0. My opponent goes rook c1, very natural. I bring my knight back, which I thought was the best move. Just saying two things, really. Basically, if you want a queen trade, you can have one. I will queen trade with you. Probably on my own terms, though. No, I would just queen trade with you. I would just take. But, no, I would play rook a6. Yeah, rook a6 is my idea there. Yeah, basically saying if you want a queen trade, you can have a queen trade. And secondly, I'm preventing the move queen c7 because I think that would be a big mistake for me, like a massive blunder to allow queen c7. So we can't allow that. My opponent brings in his knight in. Reasonable move. I go queen up to b6. Now I'm saying that if he wants to take my queen, I'm going to take back with the pawn, actually, and open up to my rook. My original idea was to take back with the knight, but I saw this like insane pressure with my rook, and I really liked it because I also have this move knight up, and we get into some interesting positions where my pieces get in first, and he doesn't have the time to bring his rook down here because I'm not going to allow him. I'm just going to cut him off, and I thought that would be pretty interesting. But just to show you, I think this position is probably, yeah, AB is the best move, and this position is very, very, very slightly better for black. Instead, my opponent goes knight in, and I take his queen because I'm kind of forced to. Rook takes. I bring my rook up, which I thought was natural, saying that I actually want to just develop down this way and here, and I actually blunder here. I make a massive mistake. I just blundered the fact that my rook just left the back rank, and my opponent is threatening to go there and win the f7 pawn, and I just missed it. So I played this move, and I'm actually lost. Actually completely losing. Here, I'm forced to play g5. Knight g5 here, and I'm just down 2 pawns. Just down 2 pawns. The only saving grace for me right now is that I might be able to get in and come back and win some pawns over here. I also have this outside pawn, which could become a passer in some lines, but it's really rough. My opponent brings his knight back, which is a mistake because it allows what I just said. My opponent definitely should have played h4. This is not that hard of a move to spot. Just saying that, okay, well, you attack my knight, but I'm not going to move it. I mean, my knight's pretty good there. He's pressuring this pawn. I would be lost here. Like, hands down, I would be losing this position. I don't think I could come back from this. Yeah, that would have been rough, but my opponent doesn't find that. And instead brings the knight back. Rook b1 check here. Rook here. And after this king move, I'm back in the game because now I have an outside passer, and this can get pretty dicey pretty quickly. I thought that a4 was pretty interesting. No, I thought this move was pretty interesting, but actually I just win this pawn and then I come back. I didn't really like this line because of me losing this, but I guess I have knight e3 here and I start attacking his king. I guess so, but I didn't see that. Either way, king g3. I take the pawn. Rook comes up, attacking that pawn. I defend that pawn. I mean, chess is pretty simple sometimes. Rook comes over here. I push my pawn. Somehow it gets an inaccuracy. It's a very decent move. Knight e7 is the best move here. I guess to reroute my knight up here and start pressuring the center pawn. Okay. I mean, I can understand, but I don't know why I would do that. I go a4. My opponent puts his knight in the center, and now I'm back to equality after the move knight c3, which I find because of two things. One, I'm defending this pawn, and I'm going to move my rook out, so then my pawn can go up further. And two, very, very important, I'm threatening this move with a fork because my rook is also attacking this pawn. So that's kind of my idea, and this position is pretty rough. My opponent goes check. I go king e7, of course. Don't want to allow any more strange knight checks. Opponent goes up to c5. I push my pawn a square further. Pretty nice. And, well, even though my opponent can take on e6 with a check, my king moves. And this is actually a draw, although I'm down 2 pawns, just because of how strong my outside passer is. Rook here, I'm winning after rook c2. I don't find it. Rook c2 is actually not that hard to find. I probably should have played this. Black gets really, really nice winning chances. I could have won this game if I played that. But won it smoother. I didn't eventually win the game. If I found that I would have won a lot smoother. Either way, I play knight b5, which I thought was pretty reasonable. My opponent pushes his pawn. For a second there, you saw that the engine thought I was winning, but it's not. I put my rook here, which is interesting. Rook c2 was a lot better because here I have this move. Yeah, I should have played that. Either way, this move, knight e4. I take on d5. This was kind of my idea. I wanted to win the pawn, but I kind of missed the reasonable idea. Knight here. I take a6, and I saw this from a distance. I mean a7. I saw this from a distance. After rook here, I have this move. Rook d3 check. Should be a brilliant move. Isn't for some reason. Rook d3 check. Most other moves are losing. Rook d2 is the only other move that isn't losing, but rook d3 is the best move. Rook d3 check. This move should get a brilliant. I don't know why it's not. Makes me a little sad. Either way, takes. I make a queen. And actually, it's black playing for a win now. But in all reality, this is a draw. The reason why it's black playing for a win is because I have a queen, and if I didn't have this pawn, this would be a very easy draw. Well, not a very easy draw. It'd be a draw. And I'm playing for a win just because of this pawn. If I didn't have it, I wouldn't even play for a win here. We could probably just agree to a draw right now. Also, I just have a queen, which is always pretty good. My opponent gives me a check. Here, I give a check. He comes up back with a check. I put my king up. He comes here, and for some reason, I, like the idiot that I am, give a check. I take this pawn, and I lose this pawn. And that was a really bad decision. I absolutely should have played g5. I don't know why I didn't. I think I just missed that the pawn was hanging, in all honesty. But I absolutely should have played g5. It probably still was a draw, but this gives me the best winning chances. Either way, queen e1 here. I take this. I sack this pawn. I give him a check. If he ever blocks with his rook, then I win. If he blocks with a pawn, then I win. The only drawing line, king h1. King g1. There's a fork, so we can't do that. I try to give him some checks. I try to check him to a better position. I go queen a1, attacking the rook. And I'm trying to fend off 50 move rule because that's a real thing, and I have to be very careful. I know this is a draw, but I'm going to play for a win anyway. I mean, I have a queen versus a rook. I don't know why I wouldn't play for a win. Here, I give a check. As you can see, my time is actually a bit lower, so I have to be a little careful. I come here. Every move is basically the best move at this point. I come here to try and like get some interesting checks like this and like down. I'm trying to maneuver my queen in a way where I can win the game. But either way, I come here, threatening a fork. I mean, not threatening a fork, but threatening some stuff. I mean, just some arbitrary checks. Here, I put my queen here. I make a little bit of progress with this move because now my opponent can't really move his king anywhere. Rook all the way over here. Looks like it should get forked, but it doesn't. I go here, stopping the check on this square. Rook g4, I come here, I stop the check, here. I come back, and he doesn't repeat moves, which is interesting. I go queen a1, defending this square. As you can see, we've kind of equalized on time. The endgame is still very, very scary, but we've equalized. And we gotta be careful here. Here I bring my king down because I want to do something other than move my queen. King up. And here actually I make some progress because now my king is getting closer to his king. And that's a little dangerous. Rook back, I give a check. I go here, attacking the rook. He goes here, threatening to win the game. Don't want to allow that. Move my king up, check. Here I'm threatening checkmate. This is getting dicey. This is getting very, very dicey. My opponent has to be careful. Check here. It still has to be careful, and there's only one winning move now, and my opponent doesn't find it and plays king h2, and I am winning the game. I'm absolutely winning the game here after the move queen d2. Queen d2 wins the game because it's simply stopping all the checks. Let's say my opponent goes here, for example. I simply have a checkmate after queen f4, here, check, here, and mate. And my opponent has to be very, very careful, but this is just lost here. h4 is the only move, but in that case, I actually just made him anyway, and I'm going to win the game. I miss queen d2, though. I miss queen d2, and I play queen e5 check. And it's back to equality, but it's still dangerous. The only move to save the game is g3, which is ridiculous because it looks like it should be losing. It must be losing here. g3 is king has no defense. I must be winning here, but after this move, I'm threatening mate. Check here. Pawn moves. Pawn goes up. I don't have a checkmate. I give some checks. I bring my queen out. I'm trying to give more checks. I made some progress, but it's not enough. Comes here, I give a check, I come back, I'm threatening some arbitrary checks over here, maybe like trying to fork him in some lines, and my opponent goes up, king goes up attacking, and my opponent blunders checkmates. My opponent blunders a checkmate here, and I'm winning. He had to put, the only move that worked is rook f5, and this is scary, but it's actually a draw. I don't have any way to continue. But my opponent misses it and goes rook g8. G8. Is that g8? No, that's g1. Rook g1. And after my queen comes in with check, also king f2 is also mate in 8. But queen f3 with check. Here, king f2. My opponent can't stop me, and I'm just winning the game. My opponent plays h5 because they've got nothing else they can do. Check. Here. I go here. Not the right move. I should have played queen e4 check. And I'm actually just going to have a very interesting way of playing this. Like I come here. It's a little funny. Maybe he goes here. I'm going to go e4. I'm going to keep walking him down. Actually, no, not there. Yeah, king h2. I come back here. Now it's his move again. If he pushes this pawn, he loses pretty easily to queen f4 and takes. And if he pushes this pawn, he loses to simply this, and I would be winning. That's a very funny way to mate him, but instead, I go queen g5, threatening this type of stuff. He gives me a check here and pushes his pawn. I mean, I'm just going to take a pawn. It's a free pawn. He moves his king. I give a check. As you can notice, I'm actually up on time now. I'm up to 20 seconds versus 6. There's no way that he can save this. here, here, check. I make some moves. I'm trying, and then he blocks like this, and this is easy. I move my king out of the way. This is the best move, but I could also have just taken. Like, I don't really know why I got a great move for king f2. I don't actually, that's not the best move. Queen takes is just the best move. I don't know why I got a great move for king f2, but yeah, I just take, and it's not stalemate, and my opponent goes here and I checkmate him. The way to win this position is a little funny. Basically, after king h2, I'm actually gonna end up like winning the pawn here, and then I'm gonna have to win queen versus rook, which is a little tricky to do, but either way, I end up checkmating him in the end with a dominant game. Yeah, I play this game at 92.1% accuracy with 2,550 estimated. Pretty good game, and I'm proud that I didn't just like offer a draw in that endgame, and I actually played it out because my opponent did end up making mistakes and I was able to win. So yeah, that was this game. I hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you guys found this entertaining. Yeah. Remember to like, subscribe, do all the normal things YouTubers tell you to do. Yeah, good evening and good night.